Hello, my beautiful people, and welcome to Rise to More. Another day, another fantastic conversation that we're about to have. I'm just so excited, tickled, because one of my closest friends, a soul sister, a confidant, and a brilliant author is here with me, Miss Jill Palmquist. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
I have been looking so forward to this. I'm so excited. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited. We have been talking about this
Mhm.
for a very, very long time. So this woman really needs no introduction. I think people if they follow me, they know who Jill is at this point. But for all of our audiences out there, we're going to introduce this fabulous human. Jill Palmquist is the author of In This Lifetime, an incredible book that is about the meaning of life and the one single most important question: why are we here and what are we going to do in our lifetime? She also happens to be a very important person. She is a chief storytelling officer at a company called Lifetime, which was founded and now being run by a fabulous friend of ours, Mr. Brahm Makradi. He's coming on the show too. That'll be a
Fun.
fabulous
It's always a
conversation.
good conversation.
Always. And she has spent the last 20 years redesigning companies in terms of the story that they tell in the world. And foremost, she's been the chief lead on changing and transforming the branding and the story that the Lifetime tells in this world. And a Lifetime has quite a transformation. And to know that you have had your tentacles in every part of that company is just really, really incredible and exciting. So there's so many things that we're going to be talking about, from storytelling to coming to this point. But I really, really want to start with one most important question: this fabulous book of yours, In This Lifetime, that brought me to tears numerous times. The first time we sat down to talk about it, I was in tears when I saw it. So my question to you is: you worked so many years on that book. What does that book mean to you? And what do you think is the main message coming from the author herself?
Thank you so much for having me, and for what a warm introduction. I sit there and I go, "Who is she talking about?" And then like it is me. But that book, it started probably 10 years ago, and by all like rational thought, it shouldn't exist. Just between the time and the resources it took, the financial investment. But I think the story that it tells is such a beautiful story that we all share. It's about like moving, just the fact that we're here. And, if you're not just kind of amazed and, dumbfounded by the miracle of that, and then after you kind of get used to that idea, how are you going to take care of yourself? How are you going to move through your particular life and time? So I think that it exists to serve as kind of an artifact or a reminder of this finite period, or this finite existence that we all seem to share, but it's so different for every one of us. And then just give you just some suggestions and some reminders on, just nudges on noticing how great it is, and then deciding to take some actions to make the most out of it, so that it's not only a long life. So we talk about the span of it, but that it's a good life.
That's an interesting thing. So much of our culture, when you think about it, is so focused on the longevity. Now it's like longevity clinics, and it's wonderful. We want to live longer.
Yeah.
But what happens to the quality of our life, and what does that look like? And what's so remarkable is that the book blends this, I would say, this deep existential yearning for meaning, for presence, and yet, like, I would call them these like nudges, like you say, or hacks for little things that we can do that are not really overcomplicated, or like complicated in general or complex, that make our life feel so much more meaningful and better.
Yeah.
Right?
I totally agree. I mean, that's kind of, everybody says, after they have a look at it, that maybe that it's kind of like the good life for dummies. And I at first was a little, put off by that, but I think it's really true. It's just like there's so much going on out there, like all these different options and everything. This is just the essence of it. Like how simple can we get?
So we live right now in very interesting times. And I think everyone would always say, oh my gosh, these are the most complex times. But truly, there's something in the air in terms of, I think, our own search for meaning, our own existential crisis. Life demands so much more of us. What do you think, as a society, as humans existing on this planet today, what do we really need more of?
More clarify that a little bit for me.
Sure.
Like, what do you mean more of?
What do you think that maybe a better question is like, what are we really missing in our lives that prevents us from living that really good, beautiful life?
But it's funny. Okay, I have to just kind of go off a little bit here. I know we just started, but I'm like sitting here thinking I'm so proper, and like usually you and I are talking and I'm flailing around and I'm worried about like this and that, but I'm like, so I just have to settle in here a little.
Settle
in a little bit. I know, and I'm just like, well, if I move that way, is this going to show, or what are we going to do here? So I just had to take that minute and just kind of get back into my own self here, or whatever you call that.
And that's also the point of the book.
Yeah.
Like 100% authentically being in your own skin. And we're going to talk about that. I love that.
Yeah. So, okay, what was the question again? What do we need more of?
Yeah, or like, what are we missing in these overly demanding lives? I mean, you hear that even with the book. I've been in situations where women are feeling really empty and overwhelmed, and there's just so much of. But what is missing from our life that would provide that deep meaning or satisfaction?
Well, I think maybe the words deep meaning and satisfaction are a little intimidating in the beginning, like it's like, okay, like the whole existential question of like, what is life and why am I here? I think that, well, first of all, I think we're all hurrying and worrying way more than we should. We're going really fast. And then once we're kind of done getting all the things done that we need to get done, we're just kind of vacant. And I know that I spend a lot of my time then sitting on a couch looking at my phone and watching other people live their lives instead of living my own. So it's kind of like getting back to, I think what we're missing is a relationship with ourselves, that like just to understand who we are and what makes us happy, and just a little bit of time alone, and just to connect there first. And I think that once that connection gets made, that the connection with we've kind of lost we've lost a little muscle on friendships and relationships. So that's another next step that I think that our little area of improvement, if you will, like just to figure out how to re-engage, with other people.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, that's so beautifully said. It really is the relationship. No, it really is. But it's, when you think about it, it's the relationship itself. I feel like I can be happy in my marriage and with my children, but if I'm not happy with myself or don't know who I am and don't take the time, you and I talk about this all the time in the wee hours of the morning, right? And we're going to get to that. Like, one of the things that I really love about you, one out of like thousands, is this appreciation and ability to be present for the smallest things when you wake up in the morning, the glimmer of light, the time. Like, you always like text me, or you share some of these things with me, like a walk with your dog, or like the sunlight. And I love that. But that's that you take the time to work on that relationship with yourself.
And it's not a big investment, and I'm not Supergirl with it. I walk my dog, I'd say 5 days out of the week, but on the 2 days that I don't, I miss it. You know what I mean? And I can sense my wiring is a little bit different, but it's just kind of taking time and, like noticing things, that paying attention. Because I think weird things have happened to our attention span too, with the advent of social media and technology, that we're just moving fast. Everything's kind of a blur. We take things for granted. And if it isn't even slowing down, but it is just kind of tuning in too. Like before I came, I took my dog around the block, and I there was a monarch butterfly, and I haven't seen, like, monarchs were so plentiful when I was a kid, and now, like, I'm like, to see one, I just kind of went, and then she came back, and I'm like, who are you? You know, like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, queen, you know, that, because, like, I'm,
But again, it's
yeah,
noticing. You do that
yeah,
all the time. I've been
yeah,
with you when you notice those moments,
yeah,
and I think that's an important aspect
yeah,
of the writing this
yeah,
and talking about it. I have a question for you.
yeah,
The and that I was not going to ask,
yeah,
but I think it really for me, when you think about it, we spent 20 years in the marketing and the branding arena,
yeah,
storytelling, copywriting.
yeah.
You've established, built brands. Did you? And when I talked to him, like, you are so unbelievably wise, and you're to me in so many ways a teacher. Did you know that all along, or did that kind of develop over time?
I had no idea, and I thank you for that, though, because it is something I've tried to recognize and celebrate lately. That I, people always say, "Who are you to play small? You know, don't play small." One of the things that I've been kind of thinking about is like, who am I to play dumb? Like, I've been playing dumb for a while, and it's not, and it's at work, but it's on a lot of other things too. Like, how do I get my Spotify on here? You know, like, figure it out. Like, it's silly things like that, but it's also, I kind of missed out on my college career. Like, I was partying and I wasn't paying attention, and I just didn't. I wasn't in academia, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and after going through advertising, which is such a beautiful thing because uh, um, you're a anthropologist, you're looking at culture, you're looking at psychology, you're looking at all these different things.
Yeah.
I realized that I really do love to learn, and then I love to connect the dots on a lot of those things. And so that was slow. And then, like, I've always been a reader, and so I think that started to add up too. And so I can't remember who said this, but like, a lot of my friends are dead. Like, the guys that I hang out with in the morning, like, I read this John O'Donohue. He's like a poet and a philosopher. He's Irish, and
Mm-hmm.
he passed away, quite a few years ago. Like, all these guys, like, Aristotle. Like, I don't sit and read philosophy, but like, it's all kind of amalgamated, and I look to that kind of knowledge and how we translate it into today, because a lot of things don't change. So thank you for saying I'm wise, and I will claim that, or lean into it, or one of those words.
Well, this is an interesting share because a lot of us have we believe that there's something within us, and yet it's almost like we start playing a role, and then we just get very
Yeah.
comfortable with that. And then we put it off. What's the cost of putting things, the cost of putting things off for the right moment until the kids move out, until I get that
Yeah.
job, right? What is the cost, do you think?
You know, we defer so much, like our happiness. We wait for so many things. We wait our whole lives for things to come along. I don't know if I know the cost, because it's kind of in retrospect, but I know that the gift that it gives me, and that is a little bit of urgency,
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm tempted to sleep, my mornings, like yours, are sacred, like that time between like 4:30 and 6:30 for me, it's like, it's magic, and if I let that go, I don't have that many mornings. I mean, I don't want to sound morbid, but you've only got so many mornings to do that. And if I want to keep in, nourishing myself and, expanding my knowledge, I can't afford to let too many of them go, that there's a finite number. And so I want to just make the most.
And that's this is a really fast. You and I have talked about this,
Yeah.
so no secret very often. But when I tell people, like, I get up in the morning and I light my candles and I do that people are like, what about the mother with 3 children who's like needs the extra sleep, and she's like pulled away and she's carpooling and she has to go and then go to her full-time job and she's so overwhelmed. Where can she start to take away some of those moments to reclaim herself?
Well, I think that maybe saying that your whole morning is too much. Again, like, so much in life is like to shave it down into the littlest micro moments and micro opportunities. And so if it isn't, I mean, I hope that she is getting at least 5 minutes in the shower without a kid knocking on the door. And so can you start with 5 minutes? Can you start with even 3 minutes of just like shutting that door, turning on the water, and just like consciously getting into your own self a little bit. And then, the other thing is like when you do things that are like kind of good for you or that kind of fulfill you or nourish you or they feel good, so you want a little bit more. So you get a little bit more cunning on how you're going to get them. Like, how can I create that time? So, it breeds more opportunity. Again, I commend you and honor the life you've got right now. It's so busy, but just finding just the cracks and the slivers.
I think that when people open the book and they will see that it's like, I felt like that was an entire, for me, like a really big, powerful message throughout the book. The entire personal development industry is like this big changes and like, like transformations. And yet you always talk about just drink a little bit more water today.
Yeah.
Go, walk in the grass a little bit, go meet with a, patch of sunlight. Yeah. And again, it's like this little reminders. What I love about you is that it truly is about the accessibility of joy.
Yeah. Mm.
And the book writes it in a way that it allows for all of us to get to that point where we can take the littlest things and come back to ourselves. So it's not like a 2-hour, people are like, Jasna, 2-hour meditation session, goodbye. Yeah. How about 5 minutes in the car before you walk into the door? Yeah. So thank you for that, because those little nuggets in the book, throughout the book, are pretty amazing.
Yeah, and they're pretty universal too. Like just the idea of, the care and feeding of your body, and then just those little things. Like one of the spreads is go to that place, the place you remember who you really are, and that can be just like as you're like waking up in the morning. Just to do that scan and go, okay, here I am. And here's what I got in front of me today. But it's like it can be not even 5 seconds, and you've got a little bit of tunage.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
There was I remember watching The Chosen, which is about the story of Jesus. Yeah. And I'm just, I'm really interested in religion and spirituality and the interpretations and misinterpretations. Yeah. And in the show, he would wake up every morning and say these words. He would say, thank you, God, for bringing the soul back to my body. Yeah. And so I say that every single morning when I open my eyes. Yeah. It's like that's the first thought that starts like, oh, like that's actually really beautiful, right?
That's the difference between you and I, because you're so elegant and beautiful and like, spiritual. And I'm like, oh, good, I'm still here.
The
it's like,
same intention.
We made it.
The same. Well, I think we find the words that speak to us. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? That's like, I'm a little bit more, I love the scripture or like things from Quran or Torah or Bhagavad Gita. I don't know why. In my previous life, I must have been a witch, or I don't know. Who knows?
What do you mean previous life?
Previous lives. Many. We have known each other. You and I.
You are still a witch. You're a good witch. You're my favorite witch. I love it.
That's what you meant. Yeah. What do you mean? Yeah. So she was just referring as I'm a witch, and of course I am.
She has your secret power.
A secret power. Yeah. I love that. Do you remember ever, and I don't think I've ever asked you this question, do you ever remember feeling disconnected from yourself and feeling like you were in a survival mode? And how did you find your way back?
I mean, I think that the first, I don't even want to say 50 years of my life was spent in survival mode. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I just did a little piece on Substack about being tall. And, I got a lot of feedback on the beginning part about, like I was born pretty different, like in the scheme of things. I recognize the context here, like, let's just be clear about that. But like, I was, 5'11" at birth, basically. My parents did not prioritize haircuts. I think I started wearing glasses when I was 2. I got a coat hanger stuck in my eye. And so like I had like a thing like this going on. And so like I was a goofy looking kid, and I was the subject of, I think the line in the Substack was, like what people would, cry bullying for today was just an ordinary Tuesday for me. Like I remember 6th grade at horse camp, waking up in the middle of the night and hearing these girls talking about how bad my haircut was. It's like, and it's
Oh,
like it does it's silly stuff, but like I've talked to a couple of people about how it builds character. So it's like those. So I had a lot of dark days, and like I remember coming out of like a period at the University of Minnesota. I didn't have a single friend. I lived at home with my parents in Fridley. I took the bus. I had, like all I had was a bus pass, and I'd go back and forth to the library. But it was such I was kind of in a cave. You know what I
mm-hmm.
mean? Like it was like a period of transformation to kind of make me who I am now. So it's like, yeah, I had tough times. Like I felt like my whole youth was, and then because of some of the work or the experience there that I had, it totally, well, it didn't totally. Again, it was slow, but like, I heard things like the way you get self-esteem is by doing esteemable things. So I try to do an esteemable thing here or there. I tried to figure out what that was. So that's like, you talk about personal development as an industry.
Yeah.
That to me, that's life. You know what I mean? Like we all need to figure out who we are and what we're doing. I hope everybody has to go through a little bit of a tough time because it makes us who we are, like we're gilded during those fires.
That's a really fabulous point because I often complain we live in the middle of a snowflake culture where it's like everyone's feelings are hurt. So, it's like, oh, poor me. I'm like, it really does build character. It was so interesting. I remember having many conversations with people who have gone through hardship and they're actually really thankful for it because it made them something. That's in it. We don't. Why do we not talk about that? I'm curious more often.
I think people, again, we have tucked things away, and I love it that people go to therapy, and I think that helps people uncover that stuff and pull it out and then deal with it. But I think we've got, like just sitting down and talking to your friends and like coming to grips with it, or like putting it out here takes away the power of it, and we see how silly it can be. So I mean that's a whole rabbit hole for us to go down. Like there is so much in that.
That's
So,
true. Another
yeah.
book.
Huh?
Another book.
Another book. Let's do another one, right?
Well, and I just want to reference, so Jill referenced the Substack, and you can find her on Jill Palmquist or All That Jill on Substack, and I really recommend that you do. Like, this is the most thought-provoking and hilarious things I've ever read in my life, hands down. So I can't wait to read the latest one. But you have a way with words. You and I go back and forth. Like, I have a lot of ideas, but and I can clearly write, but there's no one in the world who can write the way you do and like in few sentences move me to my core. And throughout the book, you do that. You say something in one sentence and you cut through that is in such a powerful way that is so meaningful. So the book is really this picturesque, beautiful representation of life experience, a coffee book. And I keep it on my dining room table, and I just flip through the pages, and there's this one question that you pose or a statement that just like really cuts through. So I want to like thank you for your, what's the word? Is it like wordsmithing? Is it like magic with words? I don't know, but it's kind of amazing. So one of the, speaking of Substack, a few times you've been talking about it was just so funny. You talked about the hair that you found on your chin, right? And then you talk about the body, changing body. So many women wake up in the morning and they go to war with the mirror. They nitpick every little thing, especially when they get the bigger, magnifying glass. All of a sudden they can see more. And it's just full on war. What would you tell to a woman who wakes up in the morning and just goes to war with herself?
Oh, honey. Oh, honey. I mean, we all do it, and it's like, I've gotten to the point where I'm, you get frustrated or you're ready for a battle, but I also find it entertaining. It's kind of like, well, okay, what's going to happen today, or what am I going to notice today, or it's like whack-a-mole, like I've recently had, a new knee, a little eye surgery, like all these things, and I'm not even old, and I've got, a few things. So it's like, this is one that I think is so in need of a good perspective, because, and I'm not saying anything that hasn't been said before, but we're afforded the opportunity of going through these things with our bodies and our minds, like that we're here in this life, and that, like it is a miracle that we're assembled like this anyway, like this random thing of atoms and molecules, and we're us with our likes and dislikes and our beliefs and our knowledge and our weirdness, like all of the messiness of being human. And how can we get mad? And I think we just have to go into not observancy, like being angry about it. It has a time and a place, you know what I mean? Like when illness and injury comes, that you've got to buck up and go after some stuff, but I think that we've got to be, constantly aware that we're here, and this miraculous embodiment, and what are the chances of it, with all the galaxies and universe. And I love it because this is how the book is set up. It's just like, if you don't like just look at yourself and go, holy crap, then we're missing something there, like to back up and like maybe pay attention to how cool you are. And then you just be a little gentler as your body goes through this stuff, because and don't take it for granted when it's working, like again, that morning body scan, it's like, not just like, okay, cool, I'm here again, but thank you. You know what I mean? Like, thank you that my lungs are working and my heart is pumping and my eyes can see, like all of these things that we take for granted until they're threatened. Or, and then it also, okay, I'm kind of on a roll here, but like the perspective of like this freaking chin hair in the scheme of things, you know what I mean? Like, what's another whisker? Literally. And I was just laughing when
That's so funny.
when you were saying, like, oh, your words are beautiful and check out the it's deeply meaningful. And I'm like, if you go to the first one, it's about chin hair.
That is precisely why it's so meaningful. You bring attention and focus, which is why I love the book so much, to things that we do not talk about. Yeah. We spend more time discussing The Bachelor than we talk about, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed because I have more grays, or I'm feeling like I'm aging and things are changing. Like, we don't admit it to ourselves. Is this secret loneliness that you just bring up? Like, yes, it's here. And then so what? And then let's laugh about it. And then let's talk about it. And then it's like, oh, and let's really just for a second admire the fact that we're just alive.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, boom.
That we're just here. And you do it in such a beautiful, beautiful way. You talk so much in the book about the beauty, right? The beauty, like an actual beauty, but the beauty within ourselves, and how. I'm curious for women who do nitpick, not just women, all of us. How do we start to embrace the beauty around us and within us? How do you do that?
That's a big question. Like, how do you see the beauty? I think you just look at things, like that you look at it wanting to see the beauty, like, to have the desire. Like, I feel like I'm going to blow this question because it's there's precisely that. Yep, it goes back to that's like I don't know why I was like I didn't have an agenda, but it's throughout the book you bring us back to this present moment. Yeah, and wanting to see what are you noticing. Yeah, okay, so. Can I keep going on the hair thing?
Heck yes.
This one is even grosser because my daughter's just been yelling at me like, you need to take care of your nose hairs. So I went and I had my nose hairs waxed. And
I saw the pictures.
But it's like she pulled it out and I'm like, I got to take a picture of that. And I'm like, this is so gross and I can't believe that I'm actually talking about this. But, I look kind of close and I'm like, God, that's kind of cool, like it's like, and I'm like,
it's like a whole world in there.
It is. It's a whole world. And then, I had I can't believe I'm telling you all this stuff, but like I had my eye done and they took these pictures of the eye and it's like, it is just like, I'm like, like my whole life I've been, I just have these beady little eyes and why can't my eyes be bigger and I have better eyelashes or something. I'm looking at that eye from this surgery and it is like a planet, like it is like, and what's his name? Tagore. He was a philosopher. Like they
From the
said, he was
4th century.
he was here like in the 40s.
Okay.
They called him the world's most spiritual man, and like Einstein was the world's smartest man, right?
Okay.
But he said that the same force or the same energy that created the universe and the galaxies and the stars and makes the world move is what's in your veins and in your body. And like I think about that all the time, and I mean I know that we are really stretching it when we talk about nose hair, but you know what I mean? Like what the whole fact that that all works together, and then there's back to the book. There's a spread on the nose in there, and I was not as enlightened about nose hair and how that whole waxing thing works when we wrote the book, but your nose remembers more than your brain does. Like your memories are all stored in there. So it's like if you start thinking about all that whole ecosystem of your life and how it's all connected there, it's pretty cool, like that, like how we're created and assembled and moving through this world.
So, folks listening, if you do not understand why I'm gaga goo over this woman, like now you get it. Like we talk about finding beauty in nose hairs, and that's precisely why I asked you that question, because there are these big philosophical questions that we try to answer, and that there are no really clear answer. The answer is always within in the eye of the beholder, right? Yeah. You always bring it home to levity, to like, just come on. And then like the little things, like just observe, pay attention, and just remember, my dear God, there are people who don't have hair, period, because of whatever disease. Yeah. It's the little thing. Get them done, move on, right? Which is a funny little thing, which I love. I'm asking you these questions, which is also, it's interesting. I'm at that age right now, and we have a lot of girlfriends who are like, aging is a real thing. Like we're changing, we're becoming more adult, and then yet we struggle. There's this. It's almost like time is slipping away to do all the things we wanted to do, or we're not accepting the changes. And I don't think I've ever seen anyone embrace the point of aging and having fun with it as you have. What belief did you have to drop or forget, or narrative to embrace to get to that point? Because you look freaking amazing. Oh. It's like, and then you sound amazing, and you're just like, I mean, always for a moment, it was like, we're the same age. Because you have the spirit of youthfulness, but you have so much fun. I want to have fun like you have. I'm a little bit more serious than you are. Just a little. Just a little.
Well, actually, I'm really glad that you brought that up, because I am fun. Like, and it's because I'm surrounded.
You are fun.
Well, no, but I'm surrounded by fun people too, and you're more fun than you think you are. Like, I mean, like, that sounded terrible. You're more fun than you think you are.
She just saying that here.
But, well, I don't know.
How did you embrace it? Like, because you're literally, I mean, I know you very intimately. You actually have fun. And you always look freaking amazing. You're a beautiful woman, but you're just like, there's a levity about you that I think everyone in your presence feels like just really relaxed. Like, okay, don't take yourself so damn seriously.
Yeah. Well, actually, okay, we'll start here. There's a
let's start from the very beginning.
Right. There is a spread in the book, and there's a woman. My mother would be just probably appalled, because it's actually it's probably one of the sexiest spreads in the book, and it's this woman who doesn't have a shirt on going like this, and she's got a tattoo on. It was my mother's words. I think it's biblical, but it's like to wear life as a loose garment. So, I think we can get really uptight and overthink things and take things so serious, that we forget to have a good time, and that we forget that, I mean, the point of the whole human experience is to enjoy it, to find happiness and fulfillment and joy. And so I kind of look at it as my job, There's another little saying, I think I had it on a greeting card when I was younger, but life is so mysterious, why take it serious? And I actually spent, I think, a really good portion of my career and my life as the clown. Like I think I told you that I looked different and wasn't like the really cute girl. So I somehow developed a sense of humor, I think, as kind of, both an offensive and defensive, mechanism, like how to get people to like me, like I think that um, that became my thing was to try to be funny. I'm still trying. Like you never
You're
really.
freaking hilarious.
I'm not that. I'm.
You are hilarious.
But it actually became a little problematic. I have not had like a set career path, like something that like I've been really blessed and like been in the right place at the right time and had the right skill set for companies that needed me when they needed it. And like, like my whole career has been, I don't want to call it happenstance at all, but like it's just kind of flowed. But some of the things that I think that have held me back were this perception that I'm just a clown, that I'm the funny one. And I think that has maybe slowed down a few things for me, which I also now feel like I'm kind of talking myself in circles because I feel like everything has just kind of unfolded as it has.
Yeah.
But I've had to kind of try to be a little bit more serious. That doesn't feel good either. So, I'll go back and forth on a couple things.
Finding a balance.
But then it always just comes back to just show up as yourself, and then let their perception can be their perception. I know what I am capable of now. And you know what? I really, that's one of my prayers is like, let me help to make people laugh because I think we need it now more than ever. And if I can somehow contribute to that, it's what an honor that is, So I and I'm like, my daughter's always like, you're trying too hard.
Oh, but you make us laugh. And I
Yeah.
think that's the levity. You brought a few really important things for our audience.
Yeah.
I think the levity, wear life like a loose garment.
Yeah.
Gosh, I love that. That spread in the book is so beautiful. And again, these are these little folks. When you open the coffee book, you'll see these little most exquisite pictures, and then these reminders. They just kind of like make you pause in your everyday.
Yeah.
And then this idea, also the idea that for a very long time, we all may carry a sort of identity that we develop, whether defensive or offensive mechanism, but then sometimes it becomes a barrier to evolution, or maybe taking on another thing, like becoming more of like, I want to embrace myself as the thought leader. Like, to me, you're the utmost thought leader in the personal development and spiritual, the conversation right now about what you're teaching, what you're talking about. And I think it would have been a true shame, Jill. True shame. I've told you this a million times. So, but I want the audience to hear it. If you didn't take the call and to write this book and go on stages that you're speaking on around the world, and to lead fireside chats with Deepak Chopra, which you just did a few weeks ago. So you're doing these things, and I think that life is a better place because of it. So I'm so glad that you allowed yourself to question that belief and embrace it.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Thank you for the acknowledgement. And it is so fun, isn't it? Like some of the things that are happening when you're just kind of maybe called or something, or I don't know, but when you're doing what you want to do and are happy doing it. So
watching you is fun. It's really fun, and you do it with such grace. I love that. One of the things you talk about the book, and you and I have talked about this very often, is the concept of time, of chronos versus kairos. Would you mind explaining that? And just like for people who are like, what is the difference and why is it meaningful?
So, okay, time is so complicated. People have been trying to figure this thing out for all of our existence, right? Like, what is time? And like, I am in no realm of like Einstein or any of those philosophers, astronomers, mathematicians. Like everybody's been doing it. But what I where I could understand it is how the Greeks broke it down, and they looked at it. They had two different kind of aspects of it. Let's call. One is chronos, and it's one we're familiar with. It's how we set our clocks, our calendars. It's how you and I are here together on Friday, 2:30. It's our birthdays. It's all, it's how we move through time. It's chronos is chronological. The other word is kairos, and I was told I was mispronouncing it because I was calling it kairos for a long time, but kairos, and that is kind of an opportune or a ripe time, like when things just kind of flow, or you recognize them as special or different, and it's where the ordinary can become extraordinary, and it doesn't have to be what it is happening itself. It can just be the way that you experience and perceive that. So was that all the question, or was there more to that question?
Yeah, why kind of like, what does that mean for us, or why is it so important to know the difference? Because it explains so much of the concepts from the book.
Actually, I'll go back to the book a little bit, because I think the book actually kind of lays that out a little bit, because it takes us from, like the fact that we're here in a body, there's a spread of this darling little baby, and it's like, now what are you going to do? But then it takes you through, not like through the ages and the grades and everything, but it kind of just moves you through life, right? And the fact, like that no matter what, we're aging from the moment that we're born, we're aging. So you brought up the subject of longevity, like that we're all trying to live these long lives, but what good is a long life if you're not enjoying it? So I think the kairos so like, again, the chronological, we're going along, we hope to get to, I guess this average median age is 79, so we're pushing that, like everybody wants to hit 100, but the kairos is making sure, or figuring out how to find the moments and the blips and the beauty of the time that you've got here, to be paying attention and to be engaged and appreciative, and I mean, basically, I think alive, just to have that feeling of vitality,
You have spent I think in coming to this book, talked to so many people and interviewed people and listened. You're a very good listener. What is one story that comes to mind to you that still kind of breaks your heart a little bit? Or something that makes you think about just this how short this life is?
Well, if I can, my favorite story is my father. I mean, if we can open up that, it's not a can of worms.
I was hinting at it.
I mean, there's, I work at a company where we've got so many people with these beautiful stories, like there's so much in life, so many beautiful things, but, like I was so much of my identity comes from him and how he lived his life, like he just, he kind of thought everybody was he had a career that he was good at and that he was fulfilled and that he was respected. With my mother, he had the love of his life. He had a wonderful partner. He had at least one extremely brilliant child. I mean, but he had good kids. And then, but the way that he was of service, like he understood that part of it. But I think that where he really served as a role model, or if I was to say, here's a story to pay attention to, it was how my father engaged with people. He wasn't afraid to say hello. He thought everybody was just a friend waiting to happen. And, I always say that if we met, there's a pretty good chance you'd be at his house for dinner the next week. And so he liked to bring people together. He thought there was a lot of power of just sitting at a table with good food, good conversation, and good beef eater martini or two or three. Like, I mean, he just like, they just enjoyed things. And then listening to their conversations, and he had friends from, 60, 70, 80 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, he had some really good longtime friends, and then he had new friends, and it always made the conversation interesting. But I think he had the secret of a happy life right there, is that they would talk, they would have their memories. They would talk about the things that they had done. One of my favorite stories about when they went to Lake of the Woods to get the fishing shack off of it, the ice fishing shack. They drove out on the truck, and it was so windy. It was like one of the windiest days they've ever had up there, and it came loose. And so they had to chase it across the whole lake, like for miles. And that one of his friends, Brooke, was in it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and then it went back and forth, and like, but they would tell these stories, and they tell the same stories, and they would laugh and laugh, but they had these memories. Then they would be so in the moment with the food that they were eating. Like, there's so much enjoyment of both making it, sharing it, and then eating it. And then they would make plans. They would have something to look forward to. So I think that, if you take that as like a little timeline, it was like the past, the present, the future, but the present kind of brought it all together. So I mean, I'll always say that's my favorite story, because I feel like it's taught me so much.
He's made such a huge impression on, or an imprint on who you are, didn't he?
Yeah. He did. And he would be like, ho, ho, ho. Like, he'd be so proud, that we're talking about him. So,
oh,
yeah.
Well, talking about the presence, you in the book, you talk about find a moment that feels like home, like coming to yourself.
Yeah.
You talk about there's a beautiful, the most exquisite art about the lungs, and you think about the miracle that here you're not breathing, and like we're not doing anything, it's happening. When you're in chaotic times, or you're very stressed out, or if life is too much, how do you find that present moment? How do you pull yourself in? What's your first go-to in your toolbox?
If I'm completely honest, I'll be like, I just need to take a 5-minute nap. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes,
I just gotta go lay down for a few minutes, And actually, that just does something for me. I don't know if it's like it wipes the slate or something, but just closing my eyes and just sitting there, and maybe like I'll feel miserable, just like depleted or something. And then there's just something that says, okay, just get up and move. Like, I find so much power in physical movement. And, again, it goes back to this fact that we're this amazing assembly of energy, we're molecules and atoms, and movement just shifts and rearranges everything. So, you see people going, and things like that. That's moving stuff around in there. And like, I am a big proponent of having a dog that you've got to walk around the block, and so if I'm stuck or sad or just, I move. And sometimes it can be as simple as just get up,
See, this is what I love about our conversations. Yeah. It's the focus on the things that are like, what do you mean? Just get up.
Yeah.
Just get up off the couch. Yeah. Just get up and go to the bathroom. Just get up and go to the backyard. You say those things to me all the time, and I've heard you say it to Millie, your wonderful daughter. And I think it's why you're such an incredible teacher, because it's your wisdom and your teachings and the messages in the book are so accessible. And I think that if we were all to just, it's not like, oh my God, this is a prescription or a formula. It's like, just open up the book and see what lays, in kind of in store for you today. And I love that about you. It's just so, I think it's really, really beautiful and very, very meaningful. Earlier, it didn't quite follow up on that. You said it was like the first 50 years, I was kind of like trying to figure it out. There is this process of character building, growing up into who we are for so many of us. So if you could go back, what would you tell your 40-year-old self?
Well, that was just yesterday. I mean,
yes, ma'am.
What would I tell my 40-year-old self? I I think it would be something like, just keep the faith, just keep on going. You're on the right track. I think my daughter called me the other day, and I hope I'm not like totally busting her on this, but she's like, well, maybe I just have to get used to the fact my life is going to be really busy and chaotic, and I'm going to be, going all the time. I'm like, do you? Do you have to get used to that fact? If, life is like that, but if it's too much, think about that, like, what do you want? And so,
That is so good, Bye, for everyone listening. Can you repeat that again? Okay, so if we're going through, like, this is so important.
yeah.
If we're going through life, we're like, well, is my life always going to be this busy, chaotic, overwhelming? It's just a lot. Does it have to be?
Yeah.
That's a really phenomenal, because our quality of our life is sometimes about the questions that
Yeah.
we ask, right?
Mm-hmm.
Someone really wise sitting across from me talking to that.
But it's like, I don't think I had a clue even at 40 of what I was going to do. Like my daughter, I think, was just being, she was so young. Like, I was a young mom. I was a freelance writer. I didn't have I don't want to say I had a career path in front of me, but I just thought I would keep doing what I was doing. And then, like, all these different opportunities like, what I do now, I don't think I had a clue of what that was at 40. So I think if I told my 40-year-old self something, I'd be like, just buckle up, sweetheart. You know what I mean? Like, life is going to be full of surprises. And if you just show up and you try to do good work and make people happy, that there is so much for you, like, you should be excited because there's more than you could imagine. Like, my life is so much more than I ever thought possible. Like, I just love the work that I do. I love the company that I work for, the company that I keep. I love being home. I love going away. Like life is so good. And I was happy then, but I didn't know what was in store.
And that's another really powerful thing. Do we really have to know? Did you read The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer? Oh, I love that book so much, which is about, I'm just going to go follow the things that I'm interested in. And it's like everything just kind of fell into place without having a goal and having this ambition. That's such a beautiful advice, actually.
I was talking to somebody yesterday about vision boards. I'm like, I've never done a vision board. I want to do one because I think they're so cool, but I don't even know what I would put on it. Like, I have, like,
because you're living your vision board. You're living it.
Little vision board, yes. But I want to do one.
Do it. I will say I'm a really big proponent of vision boards. I just redid mine 2 weeks ago. I don't do them every year because I do the 5-year kind of a plan, and I was actually kind of shocked to look at it and be like, there was every single thing except for one thing came true. And that was 4 years ago.
Isn't that cool?
Isn't that cool? Like, it's really powerful.
It's a good reason to redo it. I mean, because it's like,
let's go, baby.
Help me. Let's do them together. It'd be fun to do it with a bunch of people.
Let's do it. I think it would be really, really fabulous. What does rise to more mean to you?
You're capable of more than you thought possible. Just believe in it all. Believe in the universe, that there's a plan for you. Believe in yourself, that you're capable of doing what that blueprint is. And that I don't know, I love the rise because it's not just about elevating, like we talk about potential or elevation or living your best life. But to me, rise has kind of a buoyancy to it too, like that lift yourself and lift other people up to more.
Oh, I love that. Okay, Jill Palmquist, finish this sentence.
Okay.
In this lifetime,
in this lifetime, let's do it all. In this lifetime, let's just do it all. Let's move through this world and have a really good time while we're doing it. Let's pay attention. In this lifetime, let's, should I just keep going? I think we're all,
No, I love that.
in
That's
this
beautiful.
lifetime, we're, I think, hang on. What will you do in this lifetime? I mean, I kind of go into tagline cities, but what will you do in this lifetime?
What will you do
Yeah.
in this lifetime?
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I think one of the most profound questions that we all have that I see with people every day in and day out is, who am I and why am I here? And I think that you have done an incredible job teaching that through this coffee book in this lifetime, by posing this question and showing the beauty, the tapestry of life, this love letter to life that this book is. And I think that you do it in such a beautiful way. And I think also you bring so much fun and levity and joy to this world that I'm just really excited that you came on the show, that people get to hear you, and that people can actually experience that through Substack, through following you on Instagram, through buying the book. We're going to have all of those links in the show notes. That I think is just such a gift to be in the midst of, I call it the show with the greats. To me, you're one of the greats because of the work that you are doing. What do you hope the book, the legacy that the book leaves for you? What do you hope that to me?
There's two spreads in there. One is like, just remember to ask questions. Like life, just continue to ask yourself those questions and answer them, because to me, it's that call and response is what feeds into personal development. But it also says, remember, is there the most important question of all? Is there anything more fun than being alive? So I hope, my greatest hope for that book is that it reminds people of that and encourages them to seek the joy, to prioritize happiness, to think about what it is that will provide them with fulfillment when they get a little further down the road and are looking back, like what feeds that fulfillment piece, and then put it all together, and that's a pretty darn good life.
Yes, it is. I love you so much. Thank you for being you, and thank you so much for bringing so much love and joy into this world.
What a privilege.
Thank you, folks. Thank you all for tuning in and for listening to Rise to More.
Well.